She hadn't let a man touch her in 10 years, not since the night that destroyed everything she believed about love. Nia Carter, the untouchable CEO who built walls higher than her glass tower, thought she had control over every aspect of her life. But when a storm forces her into a rundown motel and a simple keycard mistake sends her crashing, literally, into the arms of a gentle single father, those walls begin to crumble. What she doesn't know is that someone is watching, photographing, ready to twist her moment of vulnerability into a scandal that could cost her everything. Because in a world where reputation is currency, one leaked photo can destroy a decade of success, and the only man who's made her feel safe in years might just be the one secret she can't afford to keep. If you're watching this, subscribe and tell me where you're from, because this story of forbidden love and second chances will have you questioning everything you thought you knew about taking risks for love. The rain hit the small coastal airport like a wall of water. Nia Carter stood at the gate window, watching her connecting flight get canceled on the departure board. Red letters flashed across the screen. Delayed. Weather. She pulled out her phone and rebooked for the morning. Her fingers moved quickly across the screen. 10 years of running a tech company had taught her to handle problems fast. No crying, no anger. Just fix it and move on. Sea Spray Motel, she whispered as she found a place to stay. The photos showed a simple building with faded blue paint. It wasn't fancy, but it was clean. That was enough. The taxi driver, Ray, was chatty. His windshield wipers worked overtime against the heavy rain. "You picked a good night to stay at the Sea Spray," he said, glancing at her in the mirror. "Generator's been acting up lately. But Owen, that's the maintenance guy. He'll take care of you. Nice fella. Got a cute little girl, too." Nia nodded politely. She was good at polite. It kept people at a distance. Her phone buzzed. "Nia, are you safe?" Dev Patel's voice came through her earpiece. He was her business partner and closest friend. "Flight's canceled. I'm at a motel. The vendor demo is still on for tomorrow afternoon. Get some rest. You've been pushing too hard lately." She ended the call as the taxi stopped. The Sea Spray Motel looked tired in the rain, but the lights were warm and welcoming. Mateo at the front desk smiled when she walked in. Water dripped from her coat onto the worn carpet. "Ms. Carter? Room 214. Here's your key card." He handed her a white plastic card. "Elevator's to your left, but it's slow. Stairs might be faster." Thunder shook the windows as she climbed to the second floor. Her suitcase wheels bumped on each step. The hallway was dimly lit. Some of the ceiling lights flickered. Room 214. She slid the key card into the door. Click. The little light turned green. But when she opened the door, she froze. This wasn't her room. A man knelt beside a small travel cot. A little girl with curly brown hair slept inside. The man looked up at Nia with surprised blue eyes. "Oh, I'm sorry. I think there's been a mistake." Nia stepped back quickly, too quickly. Her foot hit something small and hard, a toy truck. She lost her balance and fell forward. The man moved fast. He caught her before she hit the floor. His hands gripped her wrist firmly. Nia gasped. It was the first time a man had touched her in 10 years. Her wrist twisted wrong when she fell. Pain shot up her arm, but that wasn't why her heart was racing. "Are you okay?" His voice was gentle, concerned. He helped her stand up carefully. "I'm fine. I'm sorry. The key card—" Nia's words came out in a rush. She looked at her trembling hand. The little girl sat up in the cot, rubbing her eyes. "Daddy?" "It's okay, Piper. The nice lady just got the wrong room." Piper. The man, Owen, Ray had called him, picked up the toy truck from the floor. "Sorry about that. Piper leaves her toys everywhere. I should call the front desk." Owen reached for the room phone. "Mateo?" "Yeah, we have a key card mix-up." "Okay, thanks." He turned back to Nia. "You're in 216, not 214. Mateo's fixing it now." "Thank you." Nia cradled her wrist. It was starting to swell. "I'm really sorry for waking her." "Don't worry about it. These things happen." Mateo appeared in the doorway with a new key card. "So sorry, Ms. Carter. System glitch. This should work for 216. Nia took the card and hurried down the hall. Room 216 opened easily. She shut the door behind her and leaned against it, breathing hard. She looked down at her hand. Her wrist was definitely hurt, but that wasn't what bothered her most. For the first time in 10 years, a man's touch hadn't made her want to run away screaming. She didn't know what to do with that feeling. Minutes later, the lights in her room dimmed. The generator was struggling just like Ray had warned. Naya sat on the bed holding her hurt wrist. A soft knock came at her door. "Ms. Carter?" Owen's voice was quiet. "I have an ice pack if your wrist needs it." Nia opened the door halfway. Owen stood there with a small ice pack and a chipped ceramic mug. "Tea, too. It's just instant, but it's warm." "Thank you. That's very kind." Behind Owen, little Piper peeked out from their doorway. She wore purple pajamas with unicorns on them. A soft blanket was wrapped around her shoulders. "How old is she?" Nia asked. 6. She's shy around new people usually. But she likes your voice, says it sounds like her teacher, Miss Amy. Nia smiled, a real smile, not her polite business smile. "What happened to your apartment? Mateo mentioned you're staying in the staff room." "Pipe burst yesterday morning. Flooded everything. Management said we could use the spare room until it's fixed. Should be a few more days." "That must be hard with a little girl." Owen shrugged. "We're managing." Piper thinks it's an adventure. She loves the vending machine down the hall. Piper started humming a tune Nia recognized, some cartoon theme song. The little girl swayed back and forth, lost in her own world. "She does that when she's content," Owen explained. "Drives my ex-wife crazy, but I think it's sweet." "It is sweet." They stood there for a moment. The storm was getting quieter outside. Nia realized she felt calm for the first time in months. "I should let you get back to her," she said finally. "Yeah, get some ice on that wrist. And thank you for being so nice about the mix-up. Some people would have made a big deal." Nia returned to her room and texted Dev. "Safe. Long day. Talk tomorrow." She pressed the ice pack to her wrist and lay down on the bed. Through the thin walls, she could hear Piper's soft humming. It was peaceful, like a lullaby. For the first time in years, Nia fell asleep without checking her phone 12 times first. The next morning came too early. Nia woke to her alarm at 7. Her wrist was stiff but better. The storm had passed, leaving everything clean and bright outside. She gathered her things and opened her door to head downstairs. Owen was in the hallway too. He juggled a toolbox in one hand and a tiny pink backpack in the other. "Good morning," he said. "How's the wrist?" "Much better. Thank you again for the ice." "Need help with that suitcase?" Nia started to say no. She always said no. But her wrist was sore, and Owen looked genuinely helpful. "If you don't mind." They walked down together. In the lobby, Piper sat on one of the worn couches. She had a small notebook and was drawing with broken crayons from the front desk. When she saw Nia, Piper's face lit up. She ran over and held out a sparkly sticker. "For your boo-boo," Piper said seriously. The sticker had a rainbow on it with the words, "You're brave," in glittery letters. Nia knelt down to Piper's level. "This is perfect. Thank you, sweet girl." She let Piper put the sticker on the back of her phone case. Piper beamed with pride. "That's so pretty," Mateo called from behind the front desk. He held up his phone. "Can I get a picture? Piper, show the camera your artwork." Piper held up her notebook proudly. Mateo snapped a quick photo of the lobby area. Nia happened to be in the background, but she didn't really notice. "Have a good day, Ms. Carter," Mateo said. Outside the motel, Nia called for a rideshare. She needed to stop at a pharmacy for a proper wrist brace before working. "Take care of that wrist," Owen said. He was loading his toolbox into an old blue pickup truck. "I will. Thank you for everything." Piper waved from the passenger seat. "Bye, Rainbow Lady." Nia laughed and waved back. As her ride pulled up, she realized she was smiling again. Maybe this little detour wasn't such a bad thing after all. An hour later, Nia sat in Marlene's diner with a soft wrist brace and a bowl of oatmeal. The place was cozy with red vinyl booths and coffee that actually tasted good. Marlene herself, a woman in her 50s with silver hair and knowing eyes, refilled Nia's coffee cup without being asked. "You're the lady who got stuck at the sea spray last night," Marlene said. It wasn't a question. "News travels fast around here." "Honey, in a town this size, a new face at breakfast is front-page news." Marlene sat down across from her. "Owen's a good man. Works hard, takes care of that little girl all by himself most of the time." "She seems very sweet." "Oh, Piper's an angel. Got her daddy's gentle heart. They've been through a lot lately with the apartment flooding and all." A young couple at the counter was taking selfies. They angled their phone to get the diner's vintage sign in the background. Through the window behind them, Nia could see the Sea Spray Motel in the distance. She was probably in their picture too, but she wasn't paying attention. After breakfast, Naya walked back toward the motel. She saw Owen on a ladder, fixing a loose railing on the second-floor walkway. His movements were careful and sure. Piper sat at a small table in the lobby with her crayons again. She waved through the window when she spotted Nia. Nia waved back and headed up to her room. She had calls to make and emails to answer, but for some reason, work felt less urgent today. At noon, Dev called with an update. "How's the wrist? And more importantly, are you actually resting like I told you to?" "The wrist is fine. I got a brace. And yes, I'm resting." "Good. Stay off social media today, okay? There's some conference chatter online. Industry people posting pictures and networking nonsense. Better to avoid the noise." "I'm not even on social media much anyway." "I know. Just looking out for you. See you at the vendor demo tomorrow." After the call, Nia heard a soft knock at her door. Owen stood outside with a small elastic wrap in his hands. "I thought this might work better than that drugstore brace," he said. "Learned how to wrap sprains properly in a first aid class." "You don't have to. Please, I feel bad about the toy truck." Nia let him in. Owen was gentle as he unwrapped the store-bought brace and replaced it with the elastic wrap. His touch was careful and professional. No lingering, no weirdness. "There. That should give you better support without being too tight." "Thank you, that feels much better." "Good." Owen gathered up the old brace. "Piper wanted me to ask if you like drawings. She's been working on something special." "I love drawings." 20 minutes after Owen left, a folded piece of paper appeared under Nia's door. She opened it to find a crayon drawing of 3 stick figures holding hands under a bright rainbow. One figure had long black hair like hers. One had short brown hair like Owen's, and a tiny one in the middle had curly hair like Piper's. Nia stared at the drawing for a long time. Then she propped it up next to her laptop and got back to work, but she found herself looking at it more than her emails. At 2 p.m, her phone buzzed with a text from Dev. "Heads up, small blog post mentioned someone from the industry spotted at your motel. Nothing major, just ignore it." Nia frowned and found the blog post. "Visiting tech exec spotted at Seaspray." The photo was blurry, taken from that selfie couple at the diner. You could barely see her in the background. She shrugged and put her phone away. It was probably nothing. But a few minutes later, Mateo knocked on her door. "Hey, Ms. Carter, quick heads up, someone was taking pictures in the hallway last night. Probably just another guest being nosy, but I wanted you to know." "Pictures?" "Yeah, around the time Owen brought you that ice pack. Nothing to worry about, just thought you should know." After Mateo left, Nia felt her chest get tight. Taking pictures? Of what? She tried to focus on work, but the worry stayed in the back of her mind like a persistent headache. Around 5:30, the storm clouds cleared completely. Golden sunlight streamed through her window. Nia's phone rang. "Want to go to the park?" Owen's voice was warm through the speaker. "Piper knows where all the best ducks hang out. Might be good to move that wrist around a little." Nia looked at Piper's drawing again. 3 stick figures under a rainbow. "Maybe," she said softly. "No pressure. We'll be there for about an hour if you change your mind." Nia sat on her bed staring at her reflection in the dark phone screen. When was the last time someone invited her to do something just for fun? When was the last time she'd watched ducks at a park? She grabbed her jacket and headed downstairs. The park was small but charming. Old oak trees provided shade over a pond where several ducks paddled lazily. Piper sat on a wooden bench, tossing pieces of bread she'd saved from lunch. "Rainbow Lady," she called when she saw Nia. "Come see. This duck is my favorite. His name is Fernando." Nia sat down beside her. "Why Fernando?" "Because he's fancy. Look at his green head. He's like a king." Owen sat on Piper's other side, smiling as his daughter chatted about each duck's personality. He looked relaxed here, happy. "This is nice," Nia said. "Thank you for inviting me." "Thank you for coming. Piper was excited when I told her you might show up." They sat in comfortable quiet for a while. Piper's chatter provided a gentle soundtrack. Nia couldn't remember the last time she'd felt this peaceful. Can I ask you something?" Owen said quietly. "Yesterday, when you fell, you seemed really shaken up, more than just from hurting your wrist." Nia was quiet for a long moment. She watched Fernando paddle around the pond with his duck friends. I was in a car accident in college, she finally said. 10 years ago, a drunk driver hit us. My boyfriend didn't make it. Owen's expression grew soft with understanding. I don't touch people much anymore. Haven't dated anyone since then. So when you caught me yesterday, she trailed off. It was the first time in 10 years someone touched you. Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't know. No, it's not that. Nia struggled to find the words. It didn't feel scary. It felt safe. I don't know what to do with that. Owen nodded slowly. For what it's worth, you don't have to do anything with it. Sometimes safe is just safe. No rules about what comes next. Piper jumped up suddenly. Daddy, Fernando brought friends. Look. More ducks had appeared on the pond. They gathered around Fernando like he really was their king. See, Piper said. I told you he was special. Nia's phone buzzed. A text from Dev. Heads up, another blog post. CEO leaving staff room at 2 a.m.? Someone got a photo of you in the hallway last night. Nia's stomach dropped. She opened the link. There was a blurry photo of her coming out of the hallway near Owen's room. The timestamp said 2 a.m., but it was actually from when Owen brought her tea around 9. The headline made it sound like something completely different was happening. Everything okay? Owen asked, noticing her expression. Nia showed him the post. Owen's jaw tightened as he read. I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to cause you trouble. It's not your fault. But Nia's mind was already racing. Her board members read industry blogs. If this got bigger, it could cause real problems for her company. She looked at Piper, still happily watching her ducks, then at Owen, whose kind face was now clouded with worry. For the first time in 10 years, she'd let herself feel something real. She'd let herself trust someone. And now she had to decide if it was worth the risk. I should go, she said quietly. Owen nodded but looked disappointed. I understand. As they walked back to the motel, Nia's phone kept buzzing with messages from Dev. The story was getting shared. People were talking. She had to make a choice. Hide and protect everything she'd built over the last 10 years, or tell the truth and risk losing it all. The problem was, she wasn't sure which choice scared her more. The next morning, Nia woke up feeling different. Not bad different, just aware. Like she'd been sleeping for years and finally opened her eyes. She looked at Piper's rainbow drawing on her nightstand. 3 stick figures holding hands. It made her smile even though her stomach was twisted with worry about those blog posts. At 8 o'clock, she walked to Marlene's diner and bought a small box of blueberry muffins. Owen had been so kind yesterday. The least she could do was say thank you properly. She knocked softly on Owen's door. Room 214. The room she was supposed to have gotten the first night. Nia? Owen opened the door, surprised. He was already dressed for work in jeans and a navy t-shirt. Everything okay? I brought muffins to thank you for yesterday and for all your help with my wrist. Piper appeared behind Owen, still in her unicorn pajamas, her curly hair stuck up in all directions. Muffins, she said excitedly. Daddy, can we have them for breakfast? What do you say to Miss Nia first? Thank you, Miss Nia. Piper threw her arms around Nia's legs in a quick hug. Nia's heart did something funny. When was the last time a child had hugged her? When was the last time anyone had hugged her? You're welcome, sweet girl. Owen invited her in while he made coffee with the little machine on the dresser. The room was small but tidy. Piper's drawings were taped to one wall. Her clothes were folded neatly on a chair. I need to tell you something, Nia said quietly, while Piper was busy opening the muffin box. About those blog posts. Owen's face grew serious. What about them? They're making it look like we did something wrong, like I was in your room in the middle of the night for other reasons. But we know the truth. Yes, but my business partners don't. My board of directors don't, and they read these kinds of blogs. Owen set down his coffee cup. I'm sorry, Nia. I never meant to cause problems for you. It's not your fault. It's just... She struggled to find the right words. I've worked so hard to build my company. 10 years of 18-hour days. I can't afford rumors. Piper looked up from her muffin. Miss Nia, are you sad? A little bit, honey. When I'm sad, Daddy reads me a story. Do you want me to tell you a story instead? Nia's throat got tight. I would love that. Piper climbed onto the bed and patted the spot next to her. Sit here. This story is about a princess who lived in a castle made of rainbows. As Piper told her elaborate story about Rainbow Princess and her pet dragon named Sparkles, Nia felt some of her worry melt away. Owen watched them both with soft eyes. "The library has story hour this afternoon," Piper said when she finished. "Will you come? Miss Jenny reads the best stories." Nia hesitated. More public time together meant more chances for someone to take pictures. But Piper's hopeful face was hard to resist. "I'd like that." "Yay!" Piper clapped her hands. As Nia stood to leave, her phone buzzed. A text from Dev. "Board member called me. Keep everything low-key today." Her stomach dropped. It was starting. The library was small and welcoming. A dozen children sat in a circle while Miss Jenny, a cheerful woman in her 30s, read from a picture book about a mouse who wanted to be a lion. Nia sat in the back on a tiny plastic chair. Owen sat beside her, looking equally ridiculous on the child-sized furniture. But he didn't seem embarrassed. He just watched Piper enjoy the story. "She loves books," he whispered to Nia. "Reads way above her grade level. She's smart, like her dad." Owen looked surprised. "I'm just a maintenance guy." "You fixed my wrist better than the pharmacy. You know first aid. You take care of this whole motel. And you're raising an amazing little girl by yourself. That's not just anything." After story time, they walked to the small playground behind the library. Piper ran straight to the swings. "Push me high, Daddy," Owen pushed her gently. Piper giggled as she swung back and forth. "Can Miss Nia push me too?" "If she wants to." Nia had never pushed a child on a swing before, but she took over for Owen, matching his gentle rhythm. "Higher," Piper called. "Is this high enough for a princess?" Nia asked. "Perfect for a rainbow princess." They took turns pushing Piper until she got tired and wanted to play on the monkey bars instead. Owen and Nia sat on a bench nearby watching her play. "She likes you," Owen said. "I like her too. She's special." "Yeah, she is. Sometimes I worry I'm not doing enough for her, single dad and all. Her mom thinks," he trailed off. "What does her mom think?" "That I can't give Piper everything she needs. Nice clothes, dance lessons, private school, all the things Lila can provide when Piper stays with her." "Is Lila your ex-wife?" "Ex-girlfriend. We were never married, but she's a good mom when she wants to be." Nia watched Piper carefully climb across the monkey bars, her tongue sticking out in concentration. "That little girl adores you," she said. "She lights up when you walk in a room. That's worth more than dance lessons." Owen smiled. "Thanks. I needed to hear that." They sat in comfortable quiet, watching Piper play. Other parents arrived with their children. A few glanced over curiously at Nia and Owen, but most were too busy with their own kids to pay attention. "Can we get ice cream?" Piper asked when she got tired of the playground. "It's almost dinner time," Owen said. "Please? Miss Nia's here. That makes it special." Owen looked at Nia. "Ice cream? Ice cream sounds perfect." They walked to a small shop downtown. Piper got strawberry with rainbow sprinkles. Owen chose vanilla. Nia surprised herself by ordering mint chocolate chip. "I haven't had ice cream in months," she admitted. "Why not?" Piper asked. "I've been too busy working." "That's silly. Ice cream makes everything better." Out of the mouths of babes, they found a picnic table outside the shop. Piper swung her legs as she ate, telling them about her favorite books and her best friend at school. "Emma has 2 mommies," she said matter-of-factly. "And Joey's daddy lives in another state. Families are different shapes." Owen caught Nia's eye and smiled. His daughter was wise for 6 years old. As the sun started to set, they walked back toward the motel. Piper held both their hands, skipping between them. "This was the best day," she announced. Nia had to agree. When was the last time she'd spent an entire afternoon just enjoying herself? No emails, no meetings, no pressure, just ice cream and swings and a little girl's laughter. At the motel, Owen was helping Piper brush her teeth when someone knocked on their door. "I'll get it," Nia said. A woman stood in the hallway. She was pretty, with blonde hair and sharp green eyes. She wore expensive jeans and carried a designer purse. "You must be Nia," the woman said coolly. "I'm Lila, Piper's mother." "Oh, it's nice to meet you." "Is it?" Lila looked her up and down. "Owen didn't mention he was dating anyone." "We're not dating. We're just friends." "Friends who spend the whole day together? Friends who hold hands with my daughter?" Nia felt her cheeks get warm. Piper reached for my hand. I didn't want to hurt her feelings. Look, I'm sure you're nice, but I need to know who's around my child. Owen has a history of poor judgment when it comes to women. Lila. Owen appeared in the doorway, his voice tight. What are you doing here? Picking up Piper. My mom wants to see her tonight. We agreed on weekends only. Plans change. Go get your things, Piper. Piper looked confused as she gathered her backpack. But I wanted to show Miss Naya my coloring book. You can show her another time, baby. As they left, Lila turned back to Nia. Just be careful. Owen means well, but he tends to promise more than he can deliver. The door closed, leaving Owen and Nia alone in the hallway. I'm sorry about that, Owen said quietly. Lila can be protective. She's looking out for Piper, I understand. But Nia felt rattled. She'd forgotten how complicated things could get when children were involved, when ex-partners had opinions. I should go, she said. Stay for a minute, please. They sat on the bed in Owen's empty room. Without Piper's bright energy, the space felt lonely. Tell me about Lila, Nia said. We dated for 2 years, got pregnant by accident, tried to make it work for Piper's sake, but we wanted different things. I wanted to get married, buy a house. She wanted to focus on her career. What does she do? She's a nurse practitioner, makes good money, lives in a nice apartment in town. Owen rubbed his forehead. Sometimes I think Piper would be better off living with her full time. Do you really believe that? I don't know. I fix toilets and change light bulbs. Lila saves lives. And who does Piper run to when she's scared? Who knows exactly how she likes her sandwiches cut? Who taught her that families come in different shapes? Owen looked at her. How do you know about the sandwiches? She told me at lunch. Triangles, not rectangles. Crusts off. You wrote it down for the daycare so they'd do it right. You pay attention. I pay attention to things that matter. They sat quietly for a moment. Nia could hear other guests moving around in nearby rooms, normal people living normal lives. This is probably a bad idea, she said softly. What is? This. Us. Whatever this is becoming. Owen nodded slowly. Probably. I have a company to run. You have a daughter to raise, and your ex already doesn't trust your judgment. She doesn't trust anyone's judgment but her own. Still, I don't want to make things harder for you and Piper. What if I said it was worth it? Nia looked at him. His blue eyes were serious and honest. Is it? I think it could be, if we're smart about it, if we take things slow. How slow? Slow enough that Piper feels safe. Slow enough that Lila can't say I'm being reckless. Slow enough that your board has nothing to worry about. It sounded reasonable, mature. Exactly the kind of careful approach Nia usually preferred. So why did it feel like they were already in too deep for slow? The next evening, Owen knocked on Nia's door with an invitation. Aunt Ruth wants to meet you. Sunday soup at her house. It's kind of a family tradition. I don't want to intrude on family time. She specifically asked for you to come. Said anyone who makes Piper smile that much is worth meeting. Nia thought about it. Meeting family felt like a big step, but she was curious about the woman who'd helped raise Owen. Okay, but let's keep it simple and calm. Simple and calm is Aunt Ruth's specialty. After Owen left, Nia got a text from Dev. He'd drafted a statement denying any inappropriate relationship. All she had to do was approve it, and he'd send it to the key industry blogs. She stared at the draft for a long time. Ms. Carter has no personal relationship with Sea Spray Motel staff. The photos in question show normal guest interactions only. It was perfectly professional, perfectly safe, and it felt like a betrayal of everything good that had happened in the last 2 days. She set her phone aside without responding. The next morning brought another phone call she'd been dreading. Nia, we need to talk. The voice belonged to Patricia Webb, one of her board members. At 9 o'clock, Nia and Dev joined a video call with 3 board members. They all had the same concerned expressions. We've seen the blog posts, Patricia said carefully. We're not making accusations, but we want to make sure you're aware of how this looks. How what looks? Nia kept her voice steady. A CEO staying at a budget motel, photos of you with staff. It raises questions about judgment. I was stranded by weather. I needed a place to stay. I was polite to the people who helped me. Of course, but perception matters. Our investors expect a certain level of discretion. After the call, Nia sat in her room feeling angry and sad. Dev sent her a gentle text. "They're just worried. This will blow over." But would it? And more importantly, did she want it to? Around noon, Owen knocked with a better elastic wrap for her wrist. Her old one was getting loose. "How's it feeling?" he asked as he rewrapped it carefully. "Much better. You're good at this." His hands were gentle and sure. Nia found herself watching his face as he worked, the small scar on his chin, the way his hair curled slightly at his neck. There, he secured the wrap with tiny metal clips. "That should hold better." They were sitting close together on the bed. Nia could smell his soap, something clean and simple. "Thank you." "You're welcome." Neither of them moved away. Nia felt that same feeling from the first night, safe and nervous at the same time. "Nia, Miss Carter?" Piper's voice came from the doorway. She peeked around the doorframe. "Daddy said you might come to Marlene's with us for dinner." The spell broke. Nia smiled at Piper. "I'd love to." That evening, the three of them sat in a corner booth at Marlene's diner. Piper had convinced everyone to order breakfast for dinner, so they were eating pancakes and bacon at 6 o'clock. "This is my favorite dinner," Piper announced, cutting her pancakes into perfect squares. "Breakfast tastes better at nighttime." Marlene stopped by their table with a coffee pot. "Well, look at this happy family," she said with a grin. "Owen, you haven't stopped smiling all week. It's about time." Owen blushed. Nia felt her own cheeks get warm. They talked about easy things over dinner, Piper's upcoming school play, Owen's plans to fix the motel's front steps, Nia's favorite books as a child. "I wanted to be a teacher when I was little," Nia admitted. "I loved reading stories to my little cousins." "You'd be a good teacher," Piper said seriously. "You have a nice voice for stories." After dinner, they walked slowly back to the motel. Piper had tired herself out and was getting cranky. "Carry me, Daddy." "You're getting too big for carrying." "Please? My legs are tired." Owen scooped her up easily. She laid her head on his shoulder and closed her eyes. "She'll be asleep in 5 minutes," he said quietly to Nia. "She's lucky to have you." "I'm lucky to have her." In the motel parking lot, under the soft glow of the security lights, Owen shifted Piper to one arm and reached for Nia's hand with the other. "Thank you for dinner. Thank you for inviting me." They stood there for a moment, holding hands while Piper dozed against Owen's shoulder. It felt natural. "Right. I could live right here," Nia whispered, surprising herself. Owen squeezed her hand gently. "In the parking lot?" She laughed softly. "In this moment, in this feeling." "I know what you mean." They walked to the motel entrance together. Owen had to let go of her hand to open the door, but the feeling stayed with Nia as she went to her room. For the first time in years, she went to sleep thinking about tomorrow instead of worrying about work. But tomorrow brought new problems. Nia woke up to her phone buzzing with notifications. A bigger blog had picked up the story. "Motel Mystery, Ethics and the Executive." The post was mean-spirited and full of implications. It suggested she was using her power inappropriately. It questioned her judgment as a CEO. Worse, it had been shared dozens of times on social media. Dev called at 8 o'clock, his voice tight with worry. "This is getting out of hand. We need to respond today." "What kind of response?" "Clear denial. Maybe mention you're considering legal action for defamation." "That seems extreme." "Nia, your reputation is on the line. The company's reputation is on the line." Before she could respond, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "This is Lila, Owen's ex. I think we should talk." Another text came immediately after. "My mother can take Piper more often if things are getting unstable, just until this settles down." Nia's heart sank. If Owen lost more time with Piper because of these rumors. She knocked on Owen's door. He opened it looking tired and worried. "You saw the new post?" "Yeah, and Lila texted me. She's worried about Piper being around all this drama." "What did you tell her?" "That there's no drama, but she doesn't believe me." They stood in his doorway, both of them feeling the weight of the situation. "Maybe we should take a break," Nia said quietly. "Just until this dies down." Owen's face fell. "Is that what you want?" "It's what might be smart, for both of us." "And what about what we want? Does that matter?" Nia looked past him to where Piper was playing with her dolls on the bed, oblivious to the adult problems swirling around her. "I don't want to hurt either of you." You're not the one hurting us, Nia. The people writing lies are hurting us. But I'm the reason they're writing about you at all. Owen stepped closer. Look at me. Do you regret meeting us? No. Do you regret the time we've spent together? No. Then don't let them win. But even as he said it, Nia could see the worry in his eyes. He was scared too. Scared of losing his daughter. Scared of having his life turned upside down. I need some space, she said finally. Just to think. Just to figure out how to handle this. Owen nodded slowly. How much space? I don't know. A few days, until I can get this under control. Okay. His voice was quiet. I understand. He started to close the door, then stopped. For what it's worth, these have been the best few days I've had in a long time. Mine too. The door closed softly between them. A few minutes later, Nia heard Piper crying through the thin walls. Why can't Miss Nia come play today? The little girl asked. Nia couldn't hear Owen's answer, but Piper's crying got louder. Nia sat on her bed staring at Piper's rainbow drawing. 3 stick figures holding hands under a bright sky. Now it just felt like a reminder of something she couldn't have. Outside, it started to rain again. Nia woke up the next morning to the sound of Piper crying through the wall. It was a soft, heartbroken sound that made Nia's chest ache. She sat up in bed and looked at her laptop. Piper's rainbow sticker was still there, bright and cheerful. You're brave, it said in glittery letters. But Nia didn't feel brave. She felt like a coward. The crying stopped, but Nia could hear Owen's gentle voice talking to his daughter. She couldn't make out the words, but his tone was patient and loving. Nia picked up her phone and called Dev. How are you holding up? He asked. I've been better. What's the latest on the blog situation? A few more shares, but nothing major. I still think we should put out that denial statement. No. Nia. No denials, Dev. If someone asks me directly, I'll tell them the truth. I met a good man and his daughter. That's all. There was silence on the other end of the line. Are you sure about this? I'm sure about not lying. Everything else, I'm still figuring out. After the call, Nia stared at her laptop screen for a long time. Then she opened a new document and started typing. I met a good man and his child. That's all. Simple, true. And if her board didn't like it, maybe that said more about them than it did about her. She saved the document and closed her laptop. Then she grabbed her coat. If she was going to be brave, she might as well start now. Lila's address was in Nia's phone from when Owen had reluctantly shared it yesterday. The house was a small rental in a quiet neighborhood with a neat garden and a red front door. Nia knocked softly. Lila answered wearing scrubs. She must be heading to work soon. Nia, I wasn't expecting you. I know, but I think we should talk about Piper and Owen and where I fit into all of this. Lila studied her for a moment, then stepped aside. Come in. The house was tidy and modern. Photos of Piper covered one wall. School pictures, birthday parties, days at the beach. Lila clearly loved her daughter. They sat at a small kitchen table with coffee mugs between them. I want you to know something, Nia began. I'm not going to drift in and out of Piper's life. If I'm part of this, part of their lives, it will be slow, planned, and consistent. That's what everyone says at the beginning. I understand why you're protective, but I'm not going anywhere unless Owen asks me to. And if that happens, I'll make sure Piper understands it's not her fault. Lila wrapped her hands around her coffee mug. Owen has a good heart. Too good sometimes. He sees the best in people, even when they don't deserve it. What makes you think I don't deserve it? Your whole life is 2 hours away. You run a company. You have board meetings and business trips and responsibilities. How long before Owen and Piper start feeling like an inconvenience? It was a fair question. One Nia had been asking herself. I don't know, she said honestly. I've never tried to balance a relationship with my work before, but I want to try. Why? Nia thought about Piper's laugh at the playground, Owen's gentle hands wrapping her wrist, the feeling of belonging somewhere for the first time in years. Because they make me better, happier, more like the person I used to be before I got so scared of everything. Lila was quiet for a long moment. Prove it, she said finally. Not with words, with actions. Show me you're not going to break their hearts. How? Time. Consistency. Show up when you say you will. Keep promises. Put them first when it matters. Nia nodded. I can do that. We'll see. As Nia stood to leave, Lila called after her. For what it's worth, Piper hasn't stopped talking about you since yesterday. Miss Nia this, Miss Nia that. Owen either, though he's trying to hide it. Thank you for telling me. Don't make me regret it. Nia drove back to the motel with Lila's words echoing in her mind. Prove it. Show up. Keep promises. She could do that. She wanted to do that. Now she just had to convince Owen to give her the chance. Sunday afternoon found Nia standing on the porch of a cozy blue house with white shutters. She held a bag from Marlene's containing fresh cornbread. Owen had invited her to Aunt Ruth's house for Sunday soup before everything fell apart. She wasn't sure if the invitation still stood, but she was here anyway. The door opened before she could knock. You must be Nia. The woman was in her 60s, with silver hair and kind brown eyes that reminded Nia of Owen's. I'm Ruth. Come in, honey. The house smelled like homemade bread and simmering vegetables. Family photos covered every surface. Nia recognized Owen in many of them, from a gap-toothed child to the man she knew now. Owen's not here yet, Ruth said, leading Nia to the kitchen. He and Piper went to church. They'll be here soon. Maybe I should wait outside. Nonsense. Sit down. Tell me about yourself. Ruth ladled soup into bowls, thick vegetable soup with fresh herbs floating on top. The cornbread from Marlene's went into a basket lined with a red cloth. Owen says you run a computer company. Tech company, yes. We make apps to help people track their health and wellness. Sounds important. It felt important until this week. Ruth raised an eyebrow. What happened this week? Nia found herself telling Ruth everything. The accident 10 years ago, the fear of letting people close, meeting Owen and Piper, the blog posts and board pressure. And now I'm scared I've ruined everything, she finished. Ruth listened without judgment, occasionally nodding or making small sounds of understanding. Can I tell you something, honey? Of course. Steady is a choice, not a feeling. Feelings come and go like weather. But choosing to show up every day, even when it's hard, that's love. I want to choose them, but I don't know how to balance everything. One day at a time, one choice at a time. Owen will understand if you're honest with him. The front door opened, bringing the sound of Piper's laughter. Aunt Ruth, we learned a song about fish today. Piper ran into the kitchen and stopped short when she saw Nia. Miss Nia, you came. She launched herself at Nia's legs. I missed you. I missed you too, sweet girl. Owen appeared in the doorway, looking surprised and cautious. Nia, I wasn't sure you'd come. I wasn't sure either, but I wanted to. Ruth bustled around, setting another place at the table. Perfect timing. Soup's ready. Over lunch, Aunt Ruth shared stories about Owen growing up, how he'd always been the one to rescue hurt animals, how he'd worked 2 jobs in high school to help pay the bills, how he'd stepped up without question when Piper was born. He's always been steady, Ruth said, catching Nia's eye. Even as a little boy, you could count on Owen. Piper entertained them with a detailed review of the morning Sunday school lesson, complete with sound effects and hand gestures. And then Noah told all the animals to get on the big boat, and they did, even the scary ones. Were you scared of the scary animals? Nia asked. A little. But Noah took care of them. Daddy says sometimes taking care of someone means being brave even when you're scared. Owen's cheeks turned pink. That's enough stories about Daddy. Halfway through lunch, there was a knock at the door. Lila stood on the porch with a small overnight bag. Hi, Ruth. I'm here to pick up Piper. Come in, dear. We're just finishing lunch. Lila stepped into the dining room and nodded politely to Nia. How was church, baby? Good. And Miss Nia came for soup. Look, I made her a paper crown. Piper held up a construction paper crown decorated with stickers and crayon drawings. It's beautiful, Nia said, accepting the crown. Should I wear it now? Yes, Nia put on the paper crown, feeling slightly ridiculous but happy to see Piper beam with pride. Picture time, Ruth declared, pulling out her phone. For a moment, all the adults seemed to freeze. Photos meant evidence, proof, something that could end up online. Then Owen stood up and moved closer to Nia. I'd like a picture. Lila watched this exchange carefully, but when Piper climbed onto Nia's lap for the photo, Lila didn't object. "Say Sunday soup," Ruth called. After Lila left with Piper, the house felt quieter. Owen helped Ruth clear the table while Nia folded napkins. "Thank you for coming," Ruth said quietly as they worked. "Owen's been miserable since yesterday. I hurt him. I got scared and I hurt him." "Then fix it." "How?" "Start with sorry, then figure out the rest together." When they finished cleaning up, Owen walked Nia to her car. The afternoon sun was warm on their faces. "I need to apologize," Nia said. "For what?" "For running away, for choosing fear over trust, for making decisions about us without asking what you wanted." Owen leaned against her car. "What do you want, Nia?" "I want to try. Really try. Not secretly, not carefully. I want to figure out how to make this work." "What about your board, the blog posts?" "Let me worry about that." "And the distance, the time commitments?" "I can work remotely 2 days a week. I can drive down here for long weekends. We can video call with Piper when I'm not here." Owen studied her face. "What changed?" "I realized I was more scared of losing you than I was of losing anything else. Even your company? Even my company. Though I'm hoping it won't come to that." Owen was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled, the first real smile she'd seen from him since the night at Marlene's. "I won't be your secret," he said. "You're not my secret. You're my choice." The next morning, Nia walked across the motel courtyard in broad daylight. Other guests were loading cars and checking out. The morning sun was bright and warm. She knocked on Owen's door and waited. He opened it, looking surprised to see her. "Nia?" "I was wrong to hide," she said loudly enough for anyone nearby to hear. "I want this, publicly, steadily." Owen stepped outside, closing the door behind him. "Are you sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything." He looked around the courtyard at the other guests, then back at her. "Not as a secret?" In answer, Nia reached for his hand and held it where everyone could see. Owen's face broke into a smile. He squeezed her fingers gently. "Well, well," came Mateo's voice from across the courtyard. He walked over with a juice box in his hand. "This is new." "Is it a problem?" Owen asked. "Are you kidding? You two have been tiptoeing around each other for days. About time you figured it out." Mateo handed Nia the juice box. "For Piper, when you see her. Apple's her favorite." "Thank you." As Mateo walked away, Owen pulled Nia closer. "So what now?" "Now we figure it out, one day at a time." "Starting with?" "Starting with a plan that works for everyone, including Piper." That afternoon, they met Lila at a picnic table in the park. Piper was at school, so it was just the 3 adults working out the details. "Thursday dinners at Marlene's," Nia began. "Saturday afternoons at the park or library. I'll let you know my schedule by Monday each week so we can plan around it." "And when you're not here?" Lila asked. "Video calls on Tuesday evenings, nothing that interferes with bedtime or homework." "What about overnight visits?" Owen and Nia looked at each other. "Not for a while," Owen said. "We want to take this slow." Lila nodded approvingly. "What about emergencies? If Piper gets sick or needs something when you're 2 hours away?" "Then I drive down. Or we video call until I can get here, whatever Piper needs." "And if this doesn't work out?" "Then I make sure Piper knows it's not her fault," Nia said firmly. "And I don't disappear overnight. We'll talk about it together and make sure the transition is as easy as possible for her." Lila was quiet for a long moment. "Okay," she said finally. "We'll try it. But my mom's still available for extra nights if things get complicated." "Thank you for being flexible," Nia said. "Don't thank me yet. Prove it first." As they stood to leave, Nia's phone rang. Dev's name flashed on the screen. "I should take this." "Nia, where are you with that?" "Statement? The board wants something official by end of day." "No statement, Dev. If anyone asks directly, I'll tell them the truth. I'm dating someone. It's not a company matter." "The blogs are calling it an ethics issue." "The blogs are wrong. I'm an adult. I can date whoever I want as long as it doesn't interfere with my work." "And if the board disagrees?" "Then we'll cross that bridge when we come to it." After she hung up, Owen looked concerned. "Problems?" "Maybe, but not ones I can't handle." "What if you lose your job?" "I won't. And if I do, I'll start a new company or find a new job. There are other ways to make a living. But it's your company. You built it. I built it to have a life worth living. What's the point of success if you're miserable? Owen reached for her hand again. Are you sure about this? I'm sure about you. About us. The rest we'll figure out. 3 days later, Naya sat in a booth at Marlene's with Owen and Piper. It was their first official Thursday dinner, and Piper had brought her coloring book to show Nia her latest artwork. This one's our house, Piper said, pointing to a picture of a blue rectangle with windows. And this one's your work building. How do you know what my building looks like? Daddy showed me pictures on the computer. Nia looked at Owen, surprised. She asked, he said with a shrug. She wanted to know where you go when you're not here. And this one, Piper continued, is all of us at the duck pond. The drawing showed 3 stick figures by a blue circle. Ducks floated on the water, and a rainbow arched over everything. I love it, Naya said. Can I keep this one? Yes, but you have to put it somewhere special. I'll put it on my desk at work. Promise? Promise. They shared a pizza and talked about Piper's upcoming school play. She was going to be a flower in the garden scene. Will you come watch? Piper asked Nia. I wouldn't miss it. Even if you have important work meetings? Especially if I have important work meetings. After dinner, they walked slowly back to the motel. Piper skipped ahead, chasing moths under the streetlights. Thank you, Owen said quietly. For what? For showing up. For choosing us. Thank you for letting me. Even when it gets complicated? Especially when it gets complicated. They stopped at the motel entrance. Piper was tired from dinner and play, leaning against Owen's leg. I should put her to bed, he said. I know. But neither of them moved. Finally, Owen leaned down and kissed Nia softly. It was brief and gentle and perfect. See you Saturday, he whispered. See you Saturday. As they parted ways, Marlene flicked off the diner lights behind them. She waved through the window with a knowing smile. Nia went to sleep that night thinking about Piper's drawing of their house, their work, their life together. 3 stick figures by a pond with a rainbow over everything. It felt like a promise of good things to come. 2 weeks passed in a comfortable rhythm. Thursday dinners, Saturday afternoons, video calls on Tuesday evenings that made Piper giggle when she could show Nia her latest school projects through the screen. The blog posts gradually died down. A few more snarky comments appeared online, but they got no traction. People moved on to other gossip. Nia kept her boundaries carefully. No overnight stays at the motel, clear time windows for visits, a consistent goodbye ritual with Piper, so she always knew when Nia was leaving and when she'd be back. You're getting good at this, Owen said one Saturday as they watched Piper feed the ducks. At what? Being part of a family. I'm still learning. We all are. Aunt Ruth had invited Nia to bring fruit salad to the next Sunday soup. Dev had started asking about Owen and Piper with genuine interest instead of worry. Even Lila had begun offering civil smiles when their paths crossed. I won't be your secret, Owen had said that first morning in the courtyard. You're not, Nia replied now, watching him help Piper count ducks. You're my choice, both of you. Good, he said, reaching for her hand, because we choose you too. 3 months later, Nia sat in a small school auditorium between Owen and Aunt Ruth. Lila sat on Owen's other side, having arrived just before the show started. Piper appeared on stage as the prettiest flower in the garden, wearing a yellow dress with green ribbons for stems. She spotted them in the audience and waved enthusiastically, nearly losing her place in the dance. That's our girl, Owen whispered, his voice full of pride. Our girl. The words made Nia's heart full. When the show ended, they all clapped loudly. Piper took her bow with a huge grin, scanning the audience until she found them again. Outside the school, in the warm afternoon sunshine, Piper spun in circles wearing her costume. Did you see me? Did you see me dance? You were perfect, Nia said, scooping Piper into a hug. The best flower in the whole garden, Owen added. Lila even smiled. Very graceful, baby. Dev had sent Nia a text during the show, a photo of Piper's drawing hanging in a frame on Nia's office wall. Good priorities, the caption read. As they walked toward their cars, Owen took Nia's hand. The afternoon sun was warm on their faces, and Piper chattered happily about the other kids in the play. Celebratory pancakes at Marlene's? Owen suggested. Yes, Piper shouted, jumping up and down. Lila checked her watch. I can do a quick pancake before I have to get home. It wasn't perfect. Lila was still cautious. The long-distance relationship still required careful planning. Nia's board still sometimes made pointed comments about work-life balance. But as they walked down the sidewalk together, Owen holding her hand, Piper skipping between the adults, even Lila looking relaxed, Nia realized something important. She wasn't afraid anymore. Not of loving someone, not of being hurt, not of taking risks for the right reasons. She was choosing love over fear, one day at a time, and it was the best choice she'd ever made. 6 months after Piper's school play, Nia stood in her apartment 2 hours inland, packing a weekend bag. It was Friday afternoon, and she was headed to the coast for another long weekend with Owen and Piper. The routine had become second nature now. Thursday night, drive down after work. Friday morning at the Sea Spray, helping Owen with small projects while Piper was at school. Friday afternoon pickup, followed by their standing dinner at Marlene's. Saturdays at the park or beach. Sundays at Aunt Ruth's for soup. Her apartment felt different now, less like a fortress and more like a place she happened to sleep during the week. The walls that used to feel safe now just felt empty. Dev knocked on her office door as she was shutting down her computer. Heading out? Yep. Don't call unless the building's on fire. Literally on fire, or just regular Friday crisis fire? Literally. Piper has a soccer game tomorrow morning, and I promised I'd be there. Dev grinned. You know, when this whole thing started, I was worried you were having a midlife crisis. I'm 30. That's not midlife. Quarter-life crisis then. But now I think it's the best thing that ever happened to you. Why? Because you're happy. Really happy. I haven't seen you smile this much since... ever. Nia looked around her office. Piper's drawings covered one wall now. The framed rainbow sticker sat on her desk next to a photo from Aunt Ruth's last Sunday. All of them crowded around the kitchen table, laughing at something Piper had said. Yeah, she said softly. I think you're right. The drive to the coast gave her time to think. The board meeting earlier in the week had gone smoothly. No one mentioned her personal situation anymore. The company was doing well, her team was strong, and she'd learned to delegate more effectively. It turned out that working remotely 2 days a week and taking real weekends off actually made her a better CEO, not a worse one. Her phone rang through the car speakers. Owen's name appeared on the dashboard. Hey you, she answered. Hey yourself, how far out are you? About 45 minutes. Is Piper excited about tomorrow? She's been practicing her soccer moves in the hallway. Mrs. Patterson downstairs is not thrilled about the bouncing ball. Nia laughed. Owen and Piper had moved into a small 2-bedroom apartment last month when the Sea Spray job led to a better position maintaining several properties in town. It wasn't fancy, but it was theirs. Tell her to save some energy for the actual game. Too late, she's already worn herself out, but she wanted me to ask if you remembered to bring your lucky soccer shirt. The blue one, of course. Good. She says the team needs all the luck they can get. How was your day? Busy. Fixed 3 air conditioners and a garbage disposal. Glamorous stuff. Hey, someone has to keep the world running. What about you? How did the Johnson presentation go? They talked easily about their days, work challenges, funny stories, plans for the weekend. It was comfortable in a way Nia had never experienced before, like talking to your best friend who happened to also make your heart race. I'll see you soon, she said as she pulled into town. Can't wait. Piper was waiting on the apartment steps when Nia arrived, wearing her soccer uniform and a huge grin. Miss Nia, you're here. Do you want to see my new moves? After dinner, sweet girl, I'm starving. Daddy made spaghetti. Owen appeared in the doorway, wiping his hands on a kitchen towel. Welcome home. Home. The word still made Nia's heart skip a beat. Over dinner, Piper chattered about her upcoming game, her best friend Emma's birthday party, and the book report she had to write about dolphins. Did you know dolphins have names for each other? She asked seriously. Like, actual names that other dolphins recognize? I didn't know that, Nia said. That's amazing. I want to study dolphins when I grow up, or maybe horses, or both. You can study whatever makes you happy, Owen told her. After dinner, they walked to the small park behind the apartment complex. Piper practiced her soccer moves while Owen and Nia sat on a bench, watching the sunset paint the sky pink and orange. Lila called today, Owen said quietly. Everything okay? Yeah. She wanted to know if you were coming to Emma's birthday party next weekend. Do you want me to come? Piper does, and honestly, so do I, but I wanted to check with you first. Meeting Piper's school friends and their parents felt like another big step, more integration into their real life, beyond the safe bubble they'd created. Will it be weird? Me being there? Maybe at first, but people will get used to it. Nia watched Piper demonstrate a particularly elaborate kick sequence, her tongue sticking out in concentration. Then I want to come? Yeah? Yeah, I want to meet Emma and see where Piper goes to school. I want to be part of her whole world, not just the weekend parts. Owen reached for her hand. That makes me really happy. Even if I embarrass you by not knowing any of the other parents? Especially then. Piper can introduce you to everyone. She loves showing you off. Later that evening, after Piper was in bed, Owen and Nia sat on his small balcony with glasses of wine. The apartment was quiet except for the distant sound of waves and the occasional car passing by. Can I ask you something? Owen said. Always. Are you happy? Really happy? Not just content or making the best of it, but actually happy? Nia considered the question seriously. 6 months ago, happiness had felt like a luxury she couldn't afford. Something for other people who didn't have companies to run and reputations to protect. Yes, she said. I'm happy. Are you? Happier than I've ever been. Even with all the complications, the scheduling and the distance and the careful planning. Especially because of those things. What do you mean? Owen set down his wine glass and turned to face her fully. Those complications mean you're choosing this, choosing us, every week, every phone call, every rearranged meeting. You're proving over and over that we matter to you. You do matter to me, both of you. I know, and that's what makes me happy. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the stars appear in the darkening sky. Owen? I love you. It was the first time she'd said it out loud. They'd been dancing around the words for weeks, but tonight felt right. Owen's face broke into a smile that rivaled the brightest star. I love you too. And I love Piper. Is that okay to say? It's more than okay. She loves you too. How do you know? Because she asked me last week if you were going to be her stepmom someday. Nia's breath caught. What did you tell her? I told her that grown-ups need time to figure those things out, but that you weren't going anywhere. Good answer. Was it? Nia leaned over and kissed him softly. It was perfect. Saturday morning dawned bright and clear. Perfect soccer weather. Nia wore her lucky blue shirt and stood on the sidelines with the other parents, cheering as 8-year-olds ran around the field with varying degrees of coordination. Piper scored one goal and nearly scored another, before tripping over her own feet in excitement. She popped up immediately, grinning and giving them a thumbs up. That's my girl, Owen called out. Our girl, Nia corrected quietly, and felt her heart expand when Owen squeezed her hand. After the game, they went for ice cream with Emma and her two moms, Sarah and Jennifer. The adults talked about school fundraisers and summer camp, while the girls compared their soccer bruises and planned their next play date. How long have you and Owen been together? Sarah asked Nia as they walked back to their cars. About 8 months. Piper talks about you constantly. Miss Nia this, Miss Nia that. You've clearly made quite an impression. She's made an impression on me, too. It shows. Not everyone would drive 2 hours to watch 8-year-olds play soccer. I wouldn't miss it. And she meant it. 6 months ago, weekend soccer games would have seemed like an impossible commitment. Now, they felt like the most important thing on her calendar. Sunday soup at Aunt Ruth's had become a tradition that included Nia as a matter of course. She brought the cornbread from Marlene's, helped set the table, and listened to Ruth's stories about the neighborhood gossip. The Hendersons are getting divorced, Ruth announced as she ladled soup into bowls. Apparently, he's been carrying on with his secretary. Ruth, Owen said, mildly. Not in front of Piper. She doesn't know what carrying on means. I do too, Piper piped up. It means he was being silly with someone who wasn't his wife. Close enough, Ruth said with a grin. After lunch, while Owen helped Ruth with some repair work in her kitchen, Nia and Piper walked to the small garden behind the house. Piper had planted sunflowers there in the spring, and they were finally starting to bloom. Look how tall they are, Piper said proudly. Aunt Ruth says they'll be taller than me soon. They're beautiful. You did a great job taking care of them. Daddy helped, and Aunt Ruth, and you brought that special plant food that one time. That's what families do. They help each other. Piper looked up at her with serious brown eyes. Are you family now? It was a simple question with a complicated answer. Nia knelt down to Piper's level. What do you think? I think you are. You come to my games and help with my homework and remember that I like my sandwiches cut in triangles. That's what families do. You're right. That is what families do. So you're family. If you want me to be. I do. Piper threw her arms around Nia's neck. I love you, Miss Nia. I love you too, sweet girl. So much. When they walked back to the house, Owen took one look at Nia's face and smiled. Everything okay? Perfect, Nia said, reaching for his hand. Everything's perfect. That evening, after they'd returned to Owen's apartment and put Piper to bed, Nia found herself thinking about the conversation in the garden. Family. Such a simple word for something so complex. She'd spent 10 years believing that family was something that happened to other people, something she couldn't risk because loving people meant losing them. But sitting in Owen's living room, listening to him read Piper a bedtime story through the thin walls, Nia realized something important. Family wasn't something you were born into or something that happened to you. It was something you chose, something you built one day at a time, one small choice at a time. And she had chosen this, was choosing it every day. Owen emerged from Piper's room, closing the door softly behind him. She's out. Long day. Good game, though. The best. Thank you for being there. Thank you for letting me be there. Owen sat down beside her on the couch, pulling her close. I've been thinking, he said. About what? About us. About this. He gestured around the small apartment. About what comes next. Nia's heart sped up. What about it? I know we said we'd take things slow, and we have, but I don't want slow anymore. What do you want? I want you here, not just on weekends. I want to wake up next to you and argue about whose turn it is to make coffee. I want to help Piper with her homework while you're on conference calls. I want all of it. Owen, I know it's complicated. Your job, your apartment, but we could figure it out. You could work remotely more often, or we could find a place closer to your office, or... Nia silenced him with a kiss. Yes, she said when they broke apart. Yes? Yes, I want all of it too. Yes, we can figure out the logistics. Yes to waking up next to you and arguing about coffee. Really? Really. I'm tired of living two separate lives. I want one life, with you, with Piper. Owen's smile was radiant. When? Soon. We'll need to talk to Piper, make sure she's comfortable with the idea, and Lila. And I'll need to work out some things with my job, but soon. What about your apartment? I'll keep it for now, for work trips and meetings, but this... She looked around the small living room with its mismatched furniture and Piper's art projects covering every surface. This feels like home. 3 months later, Nia stood in the kitchen of their new house, a small 3-bedroom place with a yard big enough for Piper's sunflowers and a home office where Nia could work on her remote days. It wasn't fancy, but it was theirs. Piper burst through the front door, home from her first day of 3rd grade. Miss Nia, She paused, looking confused. You can call me whatever feels right, sweet girl. Can I call you Mom, Nia? Like, instead of stepmom? Nia's throat got tight. I would love that. Good. Mom, Nia, guess what? My teacher asked everyone to draw a picture of their family, and I drew you and Daddy and me and Fernando the duck. Fernando made it into the family portrait? Of course. He's been with us since the beginning. Owen appeared in the doorway, home from work and grinning at the sight of his 2 favorite people. How was the first day? He asked Piper. Perfect. Emma's in my class again and we get to do a science project about animals. I'm going to do dolphins. Of course you are. As Piper ran upstairs to change out of her school clothes, Owen wrapped his arms around Nia from behind. How was your day? Any board member drama? Nope, just regular work stuff. The new app launch is going really well. Good. I'm proud of you. For what? For building something amazing, for being brilliant and kind and brave enough to take a chance on us. Nia leaned back against his chest, feeling completely content. I'm proud of us, for figuring it out, for making this work. Even when it was hard? Especially when it was hard. Through the kitchen window, she could see Piper's sunflowers swaying in the breeze. They were taller than Piper now, just like Aunt Ruth had predicted. Her phone buzzed with a text from Dev. "Dinner Sunday? I want to hear all about Piper's first day of school." Another text from Aunt Ruth. "Soup's at 2's how tomorrow. I'm making that cornbread you like." And one from Lila. "Hope P's first day went well. See you at pickup on Wednesday." Family? In all its messy, complicated, beautiful forms. Piper came thundering back down the stairs, changed into play clothes, and ready to tell them everything about her new teacher, her new classroom, and the boy who already had a crush on Emma. "Can we go see Fernando after dinner?" she asked. "I want to tell him about school." "Of course," Nia said, "but first, homework." "Do I have to?" "Yep. That's what Mom Nias are for, making sure you do your homework." Piper giggled and settled at the kitchen table with her backpack. As the afternoon sun streamed through their windows, Nia looked around at their life. Owen grading Piper's summer math workbook, Piper carefully writing her name on her new school folders, the refrigerator covered with soccer schedules and art projects and grocery lists. It was ordinary, beautifully, perfectly ordinary, and it was everything she'd never dared to dream she could have. 10 years ago, a drunk driver had taken away her first chance at love and family. She'd spent a decade building walls to make sure it never happened again. But sometimes the best things came when you finally found the courage to tear down those walls. Sometimes love really was worth the risk. "Mom Nia?" Piper looked up from her folder decorating. "Are you happy?" "The happiest," Nia said truthfully. "Good, because you're stuck with us now. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else." And she meant it. From her toes to the top of her head, with every breath in her body, she meant it. Outside, Fernando the duck was probably paddling around the pond with his friends, waiting for them to bring tomorrow's bread crusts. Inside, their little family was doing homework and planning dinner, and arguing about whose turn it was to feed the goldfish Piper had won at the county fair. It was chaotic and loud and perfect. It was home. And after 10 years of being afraid to touch and be touched, afraid to love and be loved, Nia Carter had finally found where she belonged, not in a corner office or a boardroom or a carefully controlled apartment, but here, in this messy, beautiful, ordinary life they'd built together. One choice at a time, one day at a time, one moment of courage at a time, and every single choice had been worth it.